Amanda Leitner, and welcome to Rochester Rising, where we amplify the stories of Rochester entrepreneurs. Welcome to episode 218 of our weekly podcast. Welcome to the Rochester Rising podcast, where we share the stories of entrepreneurs and small business owners in Rochester, Minnesota. If you're thinking about starting your own business or interested in learning more about the business culture in Rochester, Minnesota, you're in the right place. Each week, we sit down with a Rochester entrepreneur and understand what their business journey has been like in the community. We share that story in a weekly podcast and have a new episode that's released every Wednesday. We follow up the next day, each Thursday, with a short article based on that podcast conversation. We encourage you to tune in and read both. You can listen into the podcast each Wednesday, really wherever you best like to listen into podcast content, especially on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also check out our podcasts and all our articles on our website at rochesterrising.org. We are very grateful here at Rochester Rising to be the storytelling arm of Collider. Collider is a Rochester-based nonprofit that supports early-stage entrepreneurs here in the community with a vision of a community where there are zero barriers to entrepreneurship for anyone with passion and a strong business idea. You can learn more about Collider and how that organization is helping Rochester entrepreneurs at collider.mn. All right, so we have a brand new episode to share with you today. I had the immense pleasure and opportunity to sit down with new entrepreneur Boonmee McElroy a few weeks ago to talk about her new business, Above and Beyond Coaching. Boonmee grew up in a small village in Thailand where she left by herself at the age of 12 to pursue her education and break herself out of cycles she was seeing in her community. In the conversation today, she shares how she eventually was introduced to life coaching, which allowed her to really, for the first time, see how her own blind spots were keeping her back from reaching her full potential. Eventually, Boonmee went on to complete her GED and get a master's, which was taught completely in English. Now, Boonmee is capitalizing on her years of experience as a life coach, social worker, and mental health counselor to launch her own business, Above and Beyond Coaching. Listen in today for this wonderful conversation with Boonmee to learn how she's trusted her instinct and feels that she's now in the right space and time to give back to others with her new business. All right, so we'll launch right into the podcast today with Boonmee McElroy and Above and Beyond Coaching. Usually how I like to start is learning a little bit more about you as a person. So can you share a little bit of your background and some things that you like to do in your spare time? So kind of what makes you as a person?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me today. My name is Boonmee McElroy. I am so excited to share my experience with you. But a little bit about me, I love fishing. I am a mother of two gorgeous boys, Micah and Marcus, and I married to my handsome husband, Mike McElroy, last year, but we've been together almost 6 years now. I moved to Rochester in 2009. It's a little bit over 10 years now. I don't know if my math is correct. But my spare time, I love cooking. I love eating food, that's for sure, and I love fishing.
That's the first time someone said fishing, actually. I grew up around a river, never really fished, swam in it. Don't know if I would do that now, just because it is like dirty and polluted. But
True.
Yeah, fishing, it's very calming from what I understand.
Yes, I enjoy it a lot.
My husband likes fishing. We have never gone, so maybe someday.
Hopefully this summer we can fish some more.
That's what I'm hoping for. I really want to go kayaking this summer and do some normal things again, which I think is a very distinct possibility.
Yes.
So fingers crossed for sure, normalcy coming in the next few months.
I'm with you on that.
So I know you're originally from Thailand, but can you talk a little bit about kind of where you're from and how you got to the Rochester area?
Absolutely. I grew up in a small village in Thailand called Galasin City. And if anybody listened to the podcast radio for Thai pop, we are accidentally coming from the same town. Well, not really a same village, but the same province. So yes, and my village is about 3,000 people approximately. And then fast forward, when I was about 23 years old, during one of my business trips in Japan, and on my way from Japan to Bangkok, I met my now ex-husband. So that's how I got to Rochester, from Thailand to Rochester.
That's so funny. So you lived in the same area as Annie
Yes.
Balo, but didn't meet her until you came here.
Exactly.
That is so funny. The world is very small.
Correct.
It's so crazy. So I wanted to understand a little bit of your journey kind of from Thailand to the U.S., if you wouldn't mind sharing that story with everyone. I read it a little bit on your website. You talking about, putting yourself through college, being the first person in your family to do that, I believe you said. And then you got a master's in a language that wasn't your first language. So what was that kind of process like for you? I would imagine there were a lot of challenges that you faced and a lot of successes that you celebrated as well. So can you talk a little bit about that and, how do you mentally accomplish big goals that you have?
Oh, wow, that's a gigantic question. So, my journey have started, I would say at the age of 12. Like I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a very small village and we were so poor. And at the time, the only future that I see is ending up, farming. And it was not the future that I feel inspired to be. I grew up watching my brother and sister repeating the same cycle over and over, graduate the highest education we could even achieve was 6th grade education. Anything beyond that is privilege, to be honest, in my hometown. And I grew up, watched that cycle repeat itself over and over and over. And I told myself that this is not going to be my life story. I need to find a way out of this poverty and out of this life cycle. And without knowing how, I just took the leap of faith. I just up and left my village at the age of 12 and doing whatever it takes, work for my keeps so that I can continue to pursue my education. And throughout this journey, of course, I can't do it without some few significant people of support. And one of the very first person that helped me out of poverty was my 6th grade teacher, that she extended a helping hand. She said, you deserve to go for more education. You are the smartest kid in our grade. So come with me and help out whatever you can, and then on the weekend, she would allow me to pursue a GED program. So it has been a long journey. It took me about 10 years to actually have a GED certificate. So just talk about it, it's make me emotional. And it's one of the most significant life events that happened to me. And my journey of pursuing my education, it doesn't end there, because life happens. I need to survive. I need to get whatever job I can at the age of 13, 14, and 16 years old, try to make ends meet in the Bangkok city. So I stumbled upon a husband and wife who introduced me to a life coaching program. That is another significant turning point in my life, that I learned that I have blind spot that prevented me from achieving my true potential. So I took the leap of faith and I participated, and one of the biggest outcome from that life coaching program is me able to speak English without going to school, without really taking any English class. It simply identified my fear and my blockage. And here I am. Met my now ex-husband on the airplane during one of my trips in Japan. And we had a long-distance relationship for 3 years. And then, again, at the time, I was promoted and leading the seminar, do transformational work, coaching work in Singapore at the time. And he decided to propose. And the very same time that my company that I worked with at the time appointed me to become an international, a worldwide international seminar leader and transformational coach. And I decided to put that on hold. And I moved to Rochester, Minnesota. And here I am. My time in Rochester, it was fun. I met a lot of beautiful people, a lot of great people in my life that I call friends, such as Annie and Ryan and many other people that I met in town. And majority of my time was pursuing my education. So I attended RCTC. For the very first time, I learned how to read entire textbook in English. That was a big hurdle. So fast forward 6 years later, I got my master's degree in social work, and I am now a licensed independent clinical social worker, as well as a trauma-focused therapist. Currently, I am a mental health counselor at a local university here.
That's so incredible, and I really think that, I don't think a lot of us would survive and, reach these big goals we have for ourselves without, a couple people who just really believe in us, gave us, had faith in us, gave us opportunities. I firmly believe everybody needs that person. I hope I can be that person someday for somebody. I don't think I'm quite in that position to do that yet for anybody, but everybody needs somebody,
Absolutely.
to help them get to where they're going, or else it's lonely, it's hard, and you need that one person who believes in you.
Absolutely. And funny that you mentioned that. Oftentimes we waiting for a right moment, right? For I'm not sure if I'm ready yet. Recently, I think this past week, I saw, oh my God, I don't remember a quote from Angela. I couldn't pronounce her last name, my apology. She talked about how we can just try our best until we know better, then we can do better. Mm-hmm. But don't wait until you are ready. Don't wait until you have it all.
Yeah. No, it's so true. You never get there. You never feel like you're ready. Mm. So true. Like we were talking about now, and before we started recording, you have, many years of experience as a life coach, as a social worker, as a mental health counselor and therapist. And now you've launched out on your own with the business. So can you talk about those experiences, working inside organizations, and how did lessons learned apply to what you're doing now with your own business above and beyond coaching?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's certainly gonna have huge influence on everything that I do, because when we learn something, we cannot unlearn it. The skills and knowledge that I, gather from may it be through doing mental health counseling or therapist, it taught me to be humble, right? Definitely, and also equipped me to become a compassionate coach. I understand what the pain is like. I understand what it's like to feel stuck. Mm-hmm. And I know how to coach people to go beyond that point. And that what's unique about me is that I have the experience of being a therapist, helping people get beyond, their depressions and anxiety or things that prevented them to perform to the fullest of their potential. Whereas life coaching is similar thing, but we use different modality and method in helping clients to achieve their goal. So it's not so much a evidence-based practice, like in the mental health world, we use that term a lot, but essentially we do the same work. We want to empower people, to take control over their life, over their decision-making. So I hope I answered some of those questions that you asked. I would say that I enjoy being a mental health counselor, very much so. However, I also noticed that in the mental health world, when clients come to our office, not everybody meet the full criteria for mental health disorder. Statistically speaking, it's about 60% of people will meet the full criteria for mental health disorder. What about people like us, successful people, people who just happen to stumble upon some hurdle in life, some problem that temporarily, they just need some guidance and help or coach to get them through that point.
I feel like there's so much stigma too around saying that you have a mental health issue that could be a major challenge as well with reaching people if they don't think they're having a mental health crisis.
Exactly, yes. And that one of the things that I advocated quite a lot, that reaching out for help or reaching out to professional help, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Like all successful people in the world, let's use this analogy. If you got a tiny hair in your eyes, you can't do it yourself. You need to ask somebody else to help you to get that piece of hair out of your eyeball. Mm-hmm. So it's not about you are incapable of solving your own problem. It's not about you are weak or you are unable to solve your own problem. Yeah, it's about the blind spot. We all have blind spot.
Absolutely. I brought this book up on this podcast before, but it was so good. It's called Bravey by Alexi Pappas, and she's a Olympic marathon runner. But anyway, like you were saying, like even elite athletes have coaches that help them with visualization, mental health. And that's really what I learned from that book. Like people who have these big goals, want to accomplish big things, like you have to work and visualize the success. And like they work with coaches too to get them over mental hurdles that they have. And I honestly, it might sound naive, but I didn't realize people did that until like a few years ago. I thought they were just like super special people who just had these capabilities beyond what I could do. But it's like, no, a lot of it's like in your head, so everybody, nothing's wrong, but, you having that perspective to help you think about, like you said, the blind spots.
Yes.
And how do you work through those? And I didn't realize that even elite athletes do that and someone helps them. Like you don't just go into a race and you win it. There's strategy, there's visualization, there's, picturing what could happen and how are you going to tackle that. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Life coaching is about partnership with client. Think about Tiger Woods. He is one of the greatest golfer, but he still need coach, right? Yeah. All these successful Hollywood star, they need a fitness coach, right? Mm-hmm. But all this knowledge about how to maintain a good health or exercise, we can get it on YouTube video, millions of them out there free. But why do people who are successful utilize coach or personal coaching or life coach? Because they know that the benefit of discovering their own blockage and blind spot matter.
Absolutely. So you launched your business, Above and Beyond Coaching, very recently, right?
Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about that and what, you've been doing this work for years. What at this moment was occurring that you said, I'm going to start this business now. This is what I need to do now for me in my life and in the community.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Yes, I did mention it on my website, Why Now? Why coaching and why now? So I feel like I'm in the right space, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and I feel ready that I can give back and make a difference through life coaching. And I knew from my direct experience what a life coaching can do. I benefit a lot. Just for example, from a girl who coming from the poorest village in my province and have no flip-flop. And now I am attaining a master's degree, not just a master's degree in a different country, in a different language. That would never been possible. I couldn't even imagine that happened to me had I not discovered that I had mental blockade or blind spot that given from my past story that I told myself that I grew up poor, my family, nobody have gone to college. What is it out there that's going to suggest that I will one day have a college degree and become successful? Because there is no evidence in my past experience, in my family history, to show that this is possible. Only after I attend the life coach program, and it's possible. And I am the living proof of that. And I want to show people that it's possible. It didn't matter what happened to you in the past, but it's matter that you need to discover what blocked you from achieving that goal, that dreams, or even apply for that new position that you've been thinking about for so long, or open that very business that you know you can do. But what is it that's stopping you from doing that? So I decided, again, to take a leap of faith and you know what? I'm just going to go back and do what I know. And I just want to do it for myself because I find absolute joy when I see people find their true happiness, their true purpose in life. It's such a inspiring, and that makes me happy.
People listening might not know what the experience is like with a life coach. So can you share a little bit about, when people come to work with you through your business, what could an interaction between yourself and a client look like?
Oh, great question. Yeah, it's pretty much like this, like coming and have a conversation. I do provide a first free consultation, either via Zoom or we can arrange if we were to meet in person. But currently, I don't have the office space yet. I'm just going to do it via Zoom for now. So it's a series of questions that help me identify whether or not I can help this client. And also to determine if the client goal is fit my expertise, as well as the level of investment. Are you ready? We have a lot of knowledge out there. We know a lot of information, but a lot of time we don't get the result that we want. In part, we might not be ready, or we don't know what is stopping us. So it's just an exchange conversation to see what is the goal and how long have you been trying, and what is your hope and dream. Is it realistic? Is it possible to happen within 3 months or 4 months or 6 months? So it's more like determine the client goals, the client need, and the timeline and the level of investment and commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine you do come across people that you probably can't serve. And that has to be a really hard conversation to always, exclude those clients or disqualify them or something. But yeah, it's an unfortunate reality of business that you can't, it's hard to help everybody.
Yeah. And it's not just that too, I cannot promise something that I don't know if I can deliver. If a client come to me, I want to lose 20 pounds by next 2 weeks. Well, I can tell you right now, you are in the wrong place. It's not going to happen. I have never seen one make that happen yet. So that's just in my opinion. So it have to be achievable and realistic. Mm-hmm. And whether or not the client is committed to achieve that goal. And if they're not committed and they're not quite invested in it, it just doesn't seem to be the right time or efficient time to invest it right now. It's all about partner with the client, be transparency and honesty and sincere conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, building that trust, having empathy, being able to put yourself in that person's shoe, and that's a skill. Like, a lot of people can't do that. So when you can, it's amazing to see people who have the ability to do that. So you launched your business, Above and Beyond Coaching, very recently, and I think a lot of people listening are people who have something in their mind and they want to get started with it, but making that first step is so hard. So if you can go back to you wanted to start this business. What were some of the first things that you did that other people should think about? And what kind of like tools or resources, if any, did you use to kind of help with just the first couple steps to get started with this process?
I don't know if what works for me will work for everybody. I have been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm putting it off, because every time I find myself happy and have the feeling of motivated and inspired is when I can make a difference in people's life. And I know I am doing that in my full-time job as a mental health counselor. But I also feel like there's another need that I want to do, not just to help people, it's for myself too. I want to be more innovative, not too much restrictive by, the board or, evidence-based practice, just having a partnership with someone and guide that person to achieve their dream, whatever that may be. Like I mentioned earlier, it could be a dream job, could be a dream date. My first step was to start listening to my intuition. It keeps coming back, I keep putting it away. And when I help somebody or when we have a profound conversation and it impact that person's life and they thanks me for it, and I feel like something within me is calling for me to I have to do more of this work, kind of coaching work that I used to do before. Of course, my little voice, right, say like, who gonna believe you? You are nobody. Those are the stories that over time become the blind spot that block our dream, block our action, that prevented us from taking the first step. So my first step, I would say, start listening to my gut feeling, if you will, or intuition. And then I also have to take a leap of faith. Again, this is not about making money. This is about helping people and make a difference. And it make a difference in my life when I can make a difference in other people's lives. So that my purpose, it make me happy. And I do it for me, and I do it for helping people, and it's win-win.
Mm-hmm. You seem like you're very comfortable with risks and taking risks and listening and, just moving forward and executing. And I think that's really scary for a lot of people. Even if, you have this goal and dream that you want to do something, it's really hard for a lot of people to take that first step because of the unknown.
Yeah, certainly. The unknown does cause some level of fear and anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. And that just says something. I believe that if something that causes us feeling of uncertainty or some level of fear, there must be something worth pursuing.
I feel like you found what you needed to do when you just, get so absorbed by it and just, it just feels right.
Absolutely. And you lost track of time. That is the sign that you are doing something that's fulfilling and perhaps might be your purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think another thing we get asked a lot at Collider, when we're working with people, is how do you reach customers when you're starting a business and you have like little to no budget for marketing? Mm-hmm. This is like the number one question we get. So I'd be interested, what has been working for you to get your name out there with Above and Beyond Coaching to connect with your customer base?
Marketing is not my main priority, to be honest, because I believe that when you start talking, and speaking your passion and doing what you're meant to do, and it will, the universe will attract the right people to you. Of course, there's the benefit of social medias and, when you go to life coaching school or program and they tell you to make sure you have to post this and do that. I believe in what meant to be, it will be, and I will attract the right people who, for the right timing, for the right reason. And, that's just not been my primary concern. I know that I am good at what I do. I know that I can help people, and I will wait for the right person who ready to change, ready to take action, and ready to invest.
So what are you excited about this year? What do you see as some great opportunities for yourself in this new journey?
Oh my God, I'm so happy you asked that question. My heart is pounding because this year has been a big year for me. Not just that I launched my own business, Above and Beyond Coaching, and I also feel like this is my second chance to make a difference, to help people, to pursue my yet another life purpose is to empower and inspiring people to live life to the fullest. And on top of that, I am in the middle of writing my first book.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And I believe that this book is going to have a powerful impact in many lives of the readers. So, I don't want to say too much yet. So, in the middle of writing my first book, I'm so grateful for this opportunity and thankful for the universe and God and my husband who support me throughout this journey. If everything goes according to plan, my book should be published sometime this year in August or September.
That's so cool. So do you write a lot, or is this kind of a new thing for you to kind of put this out into the world?
This is another product of my intuition, listening to my gut feeling and intuition. I have been hearing about writing a book, in my vision, in my gut, that I feel like I have a lot of story to tell, and my life story and my life journey can help a lot of people. And not only that, throughout, the past 10, 15 years, people who have worked with me as a life coach or transformational coach, or people who have known me in personal level, they always said, you should write your book. You should tell your life story. I think if people know about your life story, it will change their lives. I just kind of put it off because who am I to write the book? I barely speak clear English. So
that's not true at all.
So who am I to write a book, and who's going to buy my book? All those small little thoughts, self-doubt creeping in, and I put it aside. But something in the air, I guess. 2021 is the year. I decided to just go for it. I'm just going to take a leap of faith, and I'm going to start doing my business just because I feel like I'm ready to give back. I'm ready to make a difference. I'm ready to pay it forward, because I know what a life coach can do to a person's life. And I think my book also gonna do just that. And hopefully after that, my inspirational speaking side of the business will kick off from there.
That is super cool. I'm always very impressed with people who write books, because it seems like such a large undertaking. So yeah, congratulations. And yeah, please let me know when that is available.
Definitely. I will reach out to Collider and Rochester Rising again.
Yeah, no, that would be super cool. That was about all of my questions, but I have some last fun ones for you that I've kind of been asking everybody. And I feel like you're the perfect person to ask this one too. So, I've been really trying to work on mindset this year, especially staying positive. Because like you said, I tend to listen to those little nagging voices like, you're not good enough. This is not who's going to want what you're doing. Do you have any tips for people listening on how you manage your mindset and stay positive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I use personally, and also sometimes I give some advice to my students and clients, is to have some purpose. If you don't have purpose, it's like you have no compass. And then you get lost easily. Anything come your way, you get distracted by it. What is your purpose? Ask that question. What is your purpose? What is your goal in this life? And then when those thoughts creeping in, you just catch it, acknowledge it that it's there, and just let it pass. The those thoughts, it's just a past experience, a past doubt. And what you are pursuing is new thing. So you don't know the outcome. It could be great. It could be awesome. So just acknowledge those thoughts. Don't put too much effort and time into it. Write it down, catch it, release it. Of course, I use the catch and release because I love fishing. So that is my phrase. You just catch it, acknowledge it, that you have those, negative thoughts, and then let it disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's so true. Having that purpose and orienting towards that purpose is so key.
Yeah.
So key.
If you have a purpose, I find that it's going to be easy. Start with that question. What is my purpose? What am I here to do? What will make me happy? And when you have that purpose, just use that as a self-affirmation every day. Like, I'm here to do this. I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to inspire people, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you have those self-doubt, negative thought creeping in, you can just ask yourself, if this thought helpful to me or harmful to me? If this thought going to help me move towards my purpose or take me away from my purpose?
Yeah, so true. We just got a mini bite of life coaching there, I feel. So my next question for you, fun one. We're recording in March. It feels like spring. Yes. It's nice outside for Minnesota in March. Do you have any traditions you like to do either by yourself, with your family around this time of the year in springtime that you're looking forward to doing, or maybe already are doing?
Great question. I was just decorated my patio this past 2 days because of the warm climate that we have the privilege to enjoy in the past couple of days. Yes, I feel like spring coming here already. And what I enjoy doing the most with my boys, Micah and Marcus, is just play around in our yard. We got nice backyard, and I love bonfire. I just love having a glass of wine after work and sit around the fire. The relaxing time, and I use that time to reflect and remind myself of how far I have come in life and how privileged I am to have a beautiful husband, beautiful children, and beautiful life. And I don't take anything for granted. So that's my favorite time.
Yeah, I'm ready for bonfire season for sure. It's definitely nice out today. I'm going to have to go and take a walk around a little bit after we're done talking. It's just so beautiful out. That was my last question for you. I'll ask you for any final thoughts, and where can people find out more about yourself and your business?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I have a Facebook page called Above and Beyond Coaching LLC. And also, you can look up my information on my website, aboveandbeyondcoachingllc.com. And email me or call me. Of course, I have a full-time job. Do call me after 5 o'clock. And if you don't leave a voicemail, I would not call back because I would assume that's just another robocall. So
leave a voicemail.
So email me. If you decide to call me, please leave me your voicemail and tell me who you are and phone number to call you back and what is the reason of calling, So, yeah, definitely go check out my website. And I am looking forward to chat with anybody who would like to discuss what a life coaching can do to help you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Boonmee, for being here today, sharing your story, talking with us. I really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Rochester Rising and Collider for this opportunity. I am looking forward to come back again when we have my first book published.
Yeah, it'd be so cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to Boonmee for sharing her story and her journey with us with Above and Beyond Coaching. You can find out more about Boonmee and her business through the links in our bio. And we definitely encourage you to check back in tomorrow for a short story that we'll publish on Rochester Rising focused on today's podcast conversation with Boonmee. You can find that tomorrow on our website at rochesterrising.org, along with many other stories of entrepreneurship here in Rochester, Minnesota. Thank you so much for listening into the podcast today and spending a part of your day learning about entrepreneurs and innovators operating in Rochester, Minnesota. It would be a major help to us if you like this podcast wherever you're listening in so that others can find it. And please make sure that you're subscribed so that you make sure that you never miss a story of entrepreneurship and innovation coming out of Rochester, Minnesota. We'll be here next Wednesday with a brand new episode.